I'm all the way there, but like when it came, like I'm at 600 of the seeds. I'm like, okay, yeah, time to put Zelda down. Like I'm not getting it. I've gotten everything else, but going into 900. What are they called?
Korok seeds.
Korok
They're
seeds.
shit. You do realize that you're picking up poop, right?
It feels like it after you get past number 400.
No, it's literally Korok shit.
Yeah. So
like I can't. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it, but I hate myself for doing it. But
you found the cold open too, Mike. But go ahead.
You shit. You're welcome.
Hi, this is Fred Donovan Boy. Listen to the User Sense on your favorite way of getting a podcast.
Welcome to a new episode of The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here with Saints. Jeremy claims he's going to be popping in a little bit for our interview with Leah Rose, cosplayer. We'll see. Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. But how are you doing, Saint?
Doing all right. Just the normal life stresses. One big thing turning the big 40. So that kind of is, I guess, depending on the way you look at it, either it's cool or it can suck. And I guess it was halfway in between. It was cool to, get to that milestone, but then, puts your mortality into better perspective. So, later on, just going to go have my sister's birthday is in like 3 days. So we kind of usually do something in between, right in between to celebrate both our birthdays. So we're going to go and do that. So looking forward to that. But besides that, yeah, like just thinking about mortality and mistakes and midlife crisis, that kind of thing. But I guess still happy to be alive in a COVID pandemic, insurrection America. Yeah, just the normal. How about you, Mike?
Oh, same. I hit 40 last year. I'm 41 this year. So I get what you're feeling. But, I always think about death and mortality and all that kind of stuff anyway. So, but it gets a little more real when you kind of put the math into perspective. If you think like an actuary table or whatnot, I don't know how long Americans live now. It's somewhere between 70 and 80, right? It might even be 82 now, but I don't know if it went back down because of COVID.
It was slowly going up every year, but we can get into this. I don't want to make it. Jeremy's not here too political, but a lot of there's just in the last decade or so, like white people, particularly in the middle of the country, their life expectancy has been dropping. A lot of that due to fentanyl, overprescription drugs, like the opiate epidemic has been wiping through, and high suicide rates because of high gun rates or, gun ownership, which makes suicide very easy. So in the last decade, their life expectancy has been going down by a significant amount, by 3 or 4 years, the past couple of years. That's actually been dropping the life expectancy of Americans for the past decade.
It's always good to hear, you're on the upswing and then we're going back down. You got too much shit going on, whether you want to believe it's some higher power kicking humanity back a step or just humans being humans. It's always good to think about that. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm 41. How many years do I have left? That's why my motto is, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. If I want to have fun, I'm going to go have fun. Because you could die tomorrow. Who knows? We'll see. I hope not, but you never know.
Right. Absolutely.
Speaking of dying, because, that's my thing. The creator of the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System died. I was pretty bummed to hear that. As a kid, I didn't know who he was or anything like that. But, as an adult, you have more of an appreciation for what this guy did. His name was, Masayuki Yumura. So apparently I read a few articles on him. He he was working for like an outside company, and he knew like the president of Nintendo, and he got hired to join Nintendo, and he started playing with like, light guns and things like that. And then the president of Nintendo was like, hey, I want you to make a cartridge system for us to produce. And I think the president was, it was after a few drinks or something like that. So the guy kind of laughed it off. And then the next morning, the president came to him and said, so about that cartridge system. So he got on it. And, I think the Super Nintendo is still the highest selling, or it might have been PlayStation 2 now, but it's up there, man. Super Nintendo was a hugely successful system. And obviously the NES was too. But man, that's just, that's one genius gone. He was only 78. We're talking about being 40 and 41. He was only 78. So. But yeah, no, it just sucks to hear something like that.
I forget the name, and of course, I have the internet right here. But yeah, the original Nintendo, like the original president of Nintendo, he was a super serious guy. I remember like everything that was about that guy. He was super serious about business. But yeah, I remember always reading articles about how like back in the late 1800s, Nintendo started as like a card business, a card game business, until eventually, they worked on arcade machines in Japan till in the 80s when they decided to make the Nintendo Entertainment System. And yeah, man, if you think about it, with how everything's going, the guy who created the Nintendo and Super Nintendo, when it comes to entertainment and how we spend our money, guy has to be, you put him near the top when it comes to changing the way human beings interact with entertainment, from being passive. I mean, of course, there was Atari and Commodore 64 and things like that. But I think Nintendo and Super Nintendo, I guess in Atari, now that I'm thinking about it in my own head, I probably should be talking about it into the mic. I guess whoever the inventor of Atari would be like, hold my beer, if I say it. But for me, mainstream, I would put the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo systems as forefront into what brought video gaming to the masses, so to speak, where I feel like Atari, in the Atari days, with the Atari 2400, 46, it still was like a niche nerd kind of thing. But I think with Mario, Duck Hunt, Nintendo and Super Nintendo, I think that's what really brought video gaming to the masses, so to speak. So, RIP that guy.
Yeah, I agree. My dad had an Atari 2600, and then what was the next one? The 52 or the 32? I don't remember.
It was 26. Then there was a 40. No, then maybe it was 52. Then I remember because I had the 72. Oh,
the 7800. 7800. That's the fancy looking one with the, it's slanted down, silver on it.
Right, which you could play all the Atari games from. You could basically play everything, any Atari game that's ever been made. I remember I had one of those. Right. I actually had one of those after I had my NES. So I wanted to go back and play some of those games, and they kind of went on sale, and you could pick one up. And I remember I used to go to garage sales and pick up a shit ton of Atari games. And let's be honest, 50% of them were just garbage. 50%, was just, but you get so many of them and just plug them in. Yeah. So,
yeah. I used to go to the dollar store at the mall when I was a kid. I would ride my bike there, and I would just load up on Atari games for like $1 each or however much they cost. And, I still have the 7800. I can't get it to work, but I still have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's dope.
I got the 78. I got the NES. I got a Game Boy sitting right here behind me. It's a little busted up, but whatever. It's
yeah. We still got a Game Boy Color around here or whatever. Not the original, but yeah. If they still work, those things still are like nostalgic. I had a friend of mine who worked on the fishing boat for a while. And he was all like, he was renting out a place, like basically an attic, which they converted into like a single bedroom apartment in Seattle. And his entire apartment was all video games. He said like at the time he had over 500 or something classic games, and he had old school TVs that were just there so he could hook up some of the systems because they wouldn't work on modern systems. And I still have like a panoramic view of it. I was like, holy shit, like you were not lying. He's like, oh no, I'm serious about that. He had every single system from the Commodore every handheld. He had a Neo Geo, a TurboGrafx 16. I'm like, holy shit. And like at least 50 to 60 games for each console.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, I was always a Nintendo guy. So, I mean, I played the Genesis a little bit, but, and even the 8-bit back in the day, the Sega 8-bit, but, RIP.
You own the Switch?
Yeah, I got the Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got a Wii. I got a Wii U. I got the Switch.
I'm so talk about dodging a bullet. I was so close to going to GameStop, and they had a Wii U on sale for only like $20. They were going for like 300, same amount for a Switch. But and people were saying, oh yeah, Super Mario Kart, and they had a lot of good games, which eventually I guess they just ported those Wii U games over to the Switch and, add a little bit of extras to it. But it was like, I remember it was for $280. And I was like, people say this Wii U is actually a really good console that no one's buying because I guess everyone and their mother had a Wii. I mean, Wiis are so everyone had a Wii because it's so cheap. And then I remember 2 days before I was going to go in and buy that Wii U, it said Nintendo was announcing that they're coming out with a new console called the Wii. I was like, nope, pump the brakes on that. And so glad I did. But go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say R.I.P. Mr. Yumura. You got people that wouldn't have things like the PlayStation 5 and whatever the new Xbox is called. I don't play Xbox. But those systems wouldn't exist really without this guy. I mean, you talk about TurboGrafx and everything that they tried to mimic the success of the originals, the Famicom and the Super Famicom. So let's see what's next. I guess I kind of want Jeremy's take on that, though. So we're gonna hold off on the West Side Story thing because I want to talk about that until when he gets here, maybe in the C block quick.
Is it a West Side Story thing? What is it?
So now we're going to talk about it.
Well, let's just tease it and we'll see if Jeremy comes in. But what's the tease for it?
So Steven Spielberg, one of the most prolific and probably greatest directors of all time, he's directing for some reason a remake of West Side Story. I think that's totally unnecessary, but whatever, to each his own.
Right, this came out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he refused to allow subtitles to be on the screen when the characters who are speaking Spanish speak Spanish, which is apparently a pretty decent chunk of the movie. So he's trying to force the people to understand the connotation of what they're saying without even actually knowing what they're saying. Like, I took 5 years of Spanish, but I don't know. I'm not gonna, if I go to see this movie, which I'm not, but if I go to see this movie, I'm not going to understand what the fuck's going on except for connotation, things happening, actions, things like that. But I won't know what the character's words are. And that bugs me. I feel like I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to be like, oh, well, it should be more inclusive. So, we shouldn't have to put the words on the screen. But I mean, we're talking about it now, whatever. If Jeremy comes in, he comes in. But, I read a lot of things on Twitter, like the hearing impaired community. I mean, obviously they're going to have their own like caption device or whatnot, or maybe they'll go see a captioned film, but they're not going to know at all. I mean, for those particular sections. So, and hearing impaired people were saying that. So it's just kind of crazy to me that he would do that. What do you think?
I don't know. I find that a very, very odd choice. Let me adjust this camera a bit. I find that like a very odd choice to begin with, because part of a movie is just no matter what, unless it's part of a plot device or something specifically for the movie, part of it's understanding what's going on, no matter what the dialogue is. I couldn't understand why, unless it's, and we all know what West Side Story is. So unless it's integral to the plot of you not understanding, like an alien race or something like that, to not understand what they're saying, I don't know why there'd be an issue of, if it's Spanish dialect, to put the subtitles. And actually, a lot of people, like you said, particularly the hearing impaired, they watch all their movies in subtitles. Sometimes at home, shout out to, Christopher Nolan. You have to put the movies in subtitles just to understand what the characters are saying. So I feel like it's an odd choice, even though there's something about getting older, man. And I mean, talk about turning 40, man. But some of these directors and some of these, they're kind of getting in their own, like, I wouldn't say buying in their own bullshit, but it seems like a lot of older creatives have just started getting into like this, like I call it just old men cranky about they're just getting cranky over bullshit that doesn't seem to have any reason other than they want it this way. And not putting Spanish subtitles under Spanish, that doesn't really, that's confusing to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought, and that's why I brought it up. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I get you're trying to say that they shouldn't have to put the subtitle on, but like you said, if you have like Klingons come on screen, and again, it's a totally different thing. It's a fictional person, but I don't understand any Klingon, and so what you have in those. What you have in those situations is usually someone that has to basically act as an interpreter on the screen to like let you know if they're not going to put the subtitles on, to let you know immediately. And it kind of acts as a plot device. But Spielberg clearly said in the interview that I read that he's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like literally, they're just going to speak in Spanish and you're not going to know basically what the fuck they're saying. And so no one's going to be like, oh yeah, we'll go there on Tuesday. And that's what they said. You know what I mean? No one's going to do any of that. So I just thought it was, like you said, an odd choice. I don't know. I'm not going to see it anyway. I still never seen the original. I know that's probably blasphemy at this point, but whatever.
I know I've seen the original once. I know it's basically a Romeo and Juliet story. I may see this eventually. Definitely not going to the movie theater to see it. But is it on going to be on HBO Max eventually?
I don't know. Is it a Warner property? I don't even know.
I thought it was.
I don't know. Let's see. IMDb.com. West Side Story is 2021. Oh, it's got Ansel Elgort. I like him, but let's see. I can't see what studio it's from, but I haven't seen it on HBO Max yet, so I don't know. Spielberg might have put the kibosh on that. If he did, I don't know.
Are they putting the kibosh on? Let's see. We got The Matrix coming out. Is that if they're still doing the duel for The Matrix?
No, that one's coming out supposedly on HBO Max. So, I mean, I kind of want to see that on the big screen because, it should be a pretty big movie. So I'll probably go to a theater to see it, but I do have the option here. Like, I think after me and my wife and kids saw Dune at the theater, they were like, oh, we could have seen it on the small screen. I'm like, nah, man, you couldn't see that on a small screen. I mean, you can, but.
Well, I have, no humble brag or anything. So I have an 88-inch TV, Sonos sound system. So it's pretty, I will tell you this, the sound in that, they cranked it up because there are some parts where we had to turn it down because the bass was shaking my loft where we have our, our TV, our big, where we watch all the big films at, and it was shaking, like some of the rumbling. So they definitely added a lot of sound design in a Dune. But, I saw it. Like I said, I have an 88-inch screen TV, flat screen. So I'd say 90% of the movies are perfectly fine. But yes, I already have my tickets to go see Spider-Man, and that's going to be in the movie. That's a movie where I'm like, okay, get up off the couch. We're going to go to a theater, you go see it the right way for Spider-Man. Everything else is just like, eh.
No, I mean, I got tickets for that already. I actually had to switch shifts at work because I was on call the night before, which means I would have possibly gotten cases up until 8 a.m. And we're going to go see it in the morning and then go to Universal afterwards. And so I switched to the guy. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to take any chance of getting a case. I want to just be able to wake up, drive up there, and then go to Universal. I don't want to have to think about going to do anything for work the morning of because that's going to be big. I mean, that's less than a week away now, man. I'm really excited.
Okay. Yeah, I know. So
yeah,
even though I'm going to wait, even though I'm waiting until Tuesday because, and I'm going to have to try. It's the only movie I'm going to have to get off the YouTube and going to have to get off everything because I'm the type of person, I don't mind spoilers, but I know in this type of movie, there are going to be some times where I want to just be surprised, like, oh, that's the direction they took. And I know, just like Marvel, some of the stuff we've seen in the trailers, in the commercials, are not even going to be in the movie. There's going to be a lot of misdirection, and I just don't want to correct it before I get in there. I just want to go in there refreshed. Most of the times, even with, big movies, like, I don't really care if I'm spoiled. I'm like, I kind of go in there for the enjoyment, like camera angles, plot devices. I like when movies work. I'm not there just to be, unless it's integral to the plot. My best example is The Sixth Sense. If someone ruined that before, yeah, you should be pissed. Other than that, most movies, it's like you kind of know people are going to survive. You kind of can anticipate what's going to happen. But I do want to go in there kind of with fresh eyes. So I'm going to avoid everything. And, we can do a screen review of that after I go see it on to the Tuesday after. But go ahead.
I can't believe you're going to try to wait that long. You're going to get something spoiled, man. I mean, I get it. You got the 2 little kids, but it's not going to work, man. You're going to get some shit spoiled. Like, I have to see it. The only reason we're not even seeing it Friday is because, I work, my wife works, and my daughter's got school. So, like, we just figured Saturday morning was probably the best one. And it probably won't be as busy. The theater in Orlando wasn't nearly sold out. It had like a few seats sold. So, but it's getting closer and closer. I'm sure it'll fill up. But yeah, man, I can't, social media is addicting. So like, if I like just accidentally hit on Facebook, the first fucking thing that pops up is going to be some spoiler article because of some website I follow. So I think I have to go see it.
Good thing for me. I don't get on Facebook, but yeah, my Twitter, and then you're going to see all the stuff about it. But then the thing I hate is there are some, because I tend to get a lot of things off YouTube, and there tends to be some, review, spoiler videos, and they do a good job, even with their, thumbnail. They do a good job with the thumbnail with not being as, overt. They're like, hey, here's spoilers for Spider-Man, whatever, but they're careful not to be overt. And then there's some YouTubers that don't give a shit. Like, if there's a thing, they'll put it on there. Oh, interview time?
Yeah, I see her pop up right now. No, I was letting you finish your thought, but you got any thoughts to finish before we go to break?
Nah, just don't spoil movies, and subtitles for anything that's other than English in America for right now. But,
all right. So when we come back, we're going to have our interview with Leah Rose Cosplay. Leah Rose FTW on Instagram and Twitter and on Twitch. But what's that? Twitch.tv/Leah Rose FTW. I told you, I really need to get more into Twitch. I wish we could put this on Twitch. I don't have the time to figure it out. I wish I could make this a full-time job. We'll see. Maybe one day.
Lord willing, if we could both full-time job, I'd quit my other job and this. But go ahead.
All right, so we'll be right back. You're listening to The Usual Saints, and we'll be right back with Leah Rose.
Hey gang, Mikey P here from the We Speak English Good podcast. Go check out my friends at the Usual Saints podcast. You won't regret it. Now let them hear it, Nature Boy.
Welcome back to The Usual Saints. I'm Mike D here with Saint. Jeremy will be joining us in a minute, theoretically. And we have Leah Rose with us. She's a cosplayer from, where are you from? Arizona? Is that right?
Oh, I feel like that's such a loaded question. Okay, so born in Michigan, raised in Arizona, but have lived in Hawaii for the past decade. So when everybody asks, where are you from? The answer is Hawaii.
All right, got you. So that's right. So I think when we interviewed Leaping Liz in February, she mentioned that I think you were interested. So you know her?
Yeah. She's a really good friend of mine. We were just internet friends for years, but then met for real when she moved out to Hawaii. So, and then like instant besties, like she's fantastic. So yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, like I said, I don't know if you watched or heard or did have any other shows or what Liz told you. We're just here to shoot the shit. We're going to have fun. We like get different people and different things. I mean, Saint, what do we have? We had the dance expert lady, the dance therapist. We had several cosplayers. Cool. Yeah, she was
Tan Mom from the Stern crew.
Yeah. Interview. Tan Mom was fun. Man. It's just cool. We like to have good conversation. I think, and we had Zeb Wells. I don't know. I like to throw his name out there. It makes me feel like the humble brag you were talking about, Saint.
Exactly. Not saying that we're a big deal, but
Zeb was awesome. He just responded to our thing, and we just like to talk to people and have a good conversation. I can tell just from talking to you on Instagram messaging. I'm like, yeah, this will be fun. So we'll go.
Yay! Cool. Love that.
All right. Saint, you got anything you want to start?
Yeah. So Michigan, Arizona, Hawaii. Were you doing cosplay before you got to Hawaii? Was this always like a lifelong thing, or did you start it up after you moved out to the islands?
Oh, okay. So yeah, no, I started cosplaying like God. So my villain origin story, hero origin story. I honestly just never stopped playing dress up as a kid. Like there wasn't like one big moment that was like, okay, and now I am a cosplayer. So yeah, it got really big when I started getting into Arizona, or when I moved to Arizona. My first really big convention was Anime Expo 2005, I believe. So yeah, it was like little kid playing dress up to the high school nerdy kid with all of her little like weeb friends, like also playing dress up, to going to huge conventions and then working for companies because they saw me around so much, to doing it myself. So yeah, it's been an always thing.
Nice. And how did that work? Like, you were talking about cons and people, working for companies and whatnot. Do people approach you at conventions and like make you offers, or is it more like a thing online where, I think I even saw a post you had on your page, like, hey, we'd like to collab with you. It was a while ago, someone that originally maybe had, and you were like, wow. So is that kind of how you get introduced to those kind of things, where you can go and get invited to cons or do collaborations with people?
Yes and no. It's kind of like dating myself here. It wasn't as much of an internet thing when I got started, which is like for better or for worse. I love it now though, because you can connect with anybody from anywhere, and like distance is no issue, which across the ocean, big benefit, to not needing to be right there with people. But it started where I would have just like a really good rapport with like artists and vendors and stuff like that. And eventually like got to the point where I was like, look, you look a little harried. Like, do you need a break? Do you want me to watch your table for a second while you go, pee or buy some overpriced French fries or whatever? And they'd be like, thank you, love you, bye. And they would like leave me with their stuff. And eventually that just like happened so frequently that they were like, we should just pay you to have you help us. Like, so, and then it went from there. So then people would start visiting me at that booth, and then they would be like, okay, Leah, we love having you help us, but also like you're bringing over people who aren't necessarily wanting to buy our stuff. They're just wanting to talk to you. And so it was just kind of like a snowball effect, but it was less online before, like I got my foot in the door without the internet perspective there. But I mean, it's keeping me around now, even though I'm far away from everybody. So I'm not mad about the internet being a thing now.
Nice. And I have to ask, because I went on your, Instagram. Are you still doing the whole mermaid thing? And like, how do you get into that kind of thing? I mean, that involves like holding breath and, being around kids and, I don't want to say pretending you're a mermaid. Maybe you think you're an actual mermaid, but it's a lot to it.
Oh my God. Okay. So that one, kind of similar to the elbowing your way into a situation thing like cosplay. For the longest time, even in Arizona, I was doing like princess parties, and like, how at Disneyland you go and you don't meet a performer, you meet the real princess, and how they do that for like little kids' birthdays and stuff. So my girls and I were doing that just kind of like as a side hustle. And we were also, for our own like funsies, we were free divers, or are free divers, not past ones. So kind of like easy way to combine the two is mermaids. So we like got tails. That was like a whole hysterical debacle. Like, am I really about to spend this much money on a giant full body condom made out of silicone? Are you kidding? Yes, we are. And yeah, just start kind of like marketing yourself, being like, I already have the performance experience. I've got reviews that just don't have anything to do with me and a mermaid tail. And let's go into the middle of the ocean and take pictures so people know that we're legit. And yeah, ended up kind of strong arming our way into Sea Life Park in Hawaii. So I'm like their resident mermaid there. And it's ridiculous. What am I doing with my life? I'm a mythical creature. What the hell?
I think that's great, though. I mean, would you rather be stuck behind a desk at some boring job, or would you rather be doing fun stuff that you actually enjoy? And I think I could tell just from the pictures that like you seem to enjoy being around, particularly kids, because the kids are going to be the ones that are like, "Wow, look, a mermaid." But I'm sure you get creepy adults that are like, "Hey, look at that mermaid."
I mean, yeah, it's always super annoying too. Like you'll get these like. Most of the time, okay, maybe like 8 times out of 10, it's like some older white guy who's just like, how do you get that thing on? I'm like, it'll cost you $100 to see. And then they just like, and they walk away. So yeah, I'm like just out awkward them and it's fine. But no, like, which is really funny because like little kids and I don't necessarily like, they're not my favorite to be around most of the time. But when you're a mermaid, oh my God, they're on their best behavior. They're like, their eyes are all big and sparkly. Like it's hilarious. And they don't do the normal little kid things other than just being like Home Alone style. So it's fine. It's good.
I think what I learned most from that story is that she's making $200 for those 2 guys that aren't walking away.
Oh no, they're all walking away because most of the time their wives are right next to them and they don't really comprehend how fucked up their question is. Until like I say that and their wife like elbows them really hard. So.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, that kind of leads to we ask kind of every cosplayer or even the celebrities or whatnot that we've had. We ask them like when they go to cons, like obviously conventions. We've all me and Sainte went to San Diego 9 years ago at this point.
Yeah, we can definitely relate to the overpriced French fries and stuff. Can definitely relate to that shit. But go ahead, Mike.
Oh God, yeah.
What have you you said you like help run tables. Have you run your own tables or like obviously, well, I don't want to say obviously, have you had an experience that was like kind of really negative, whether in like just a creepy kind of way, an annoying kind of way, or hopefully not like a worse way? I think do you remember Sainte? Did Liz mention something about like some dude having to be escorted off? It's been so long. It's been like 9-10 months since we heard, but
yeah, I'm pretty sure that was her story. But oh God, yeah. But yeah, Liz and I are really similar as far as like we do have our own booths and like do the prints and help other people like with cosplay panels and stuff like that. So as far as that part's concerned, we're really similar. The past like 2 conventions, like pre-parallelogram, where we had tables like side by side and it was just like a party the whole time. It was so great. But yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of negative experiences, but I'm not necessarily a cosplayer that gets like sexualized a whole lot. Which I mean is neither here nor there. I really don't care, but I also really don't put any effort into doing anything that's like super hot because I'm a potato and I know I can't be trusted with that. Yeah, luckily, not luckily, but it just kind of means that I don't really get the brunt of those negative experiences like a lot of the like really hot girls do.
Don't be putting yourself down. We talked about the whole dumb.
I'm not putting myself down like at all. Like I think I'm cute as hell, but I also just don't do like, because Liz does these super, super cute, like sexy adaptations of characters. And I just don't really do that too much. Like I don't even necessarily have a reason, mostly just because I'm lazy when it comes to making stuff. So yeah, like
I mean, I don't think it's not absolutely necessary or anything, I mean, obviously, and since we talked to Liz, she started her OnlyFans page and made that. And I think that seems to be going pretty well for her, which is awesome. I know for real, like, I'm all about body positivity and everything. So that's why, when I say something like that, I mean, obviously, even if you're not striving for sexualization, the 3 you sent me, for promotional purposes, you got the Rogue, which is basically a giant onesie, and it's as tight as you order it to be, I guess, or make it if you tailor it. And then you have your Siri, and then what's the Akali? So I mean,
yeah, the KDA one.
Yeah, they're all It depends. I think it depends on the property, because if you have a fan who likes that property, they might just be gravitated towards that. It might not even be in a sexual manner, but it's just, yeah, I mean, and do you get a lot of kids that respond to at the conventions and stuff that respond to the characters as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a big part of why, like, I just kind of, and I haven't really thought of this out loud. So here we go, cosplay therapy. I think that's part of the reason why I don't necessarily gravitate towards like more like overtly like sexualized for adult eyes type of costumes and characters, because I already have that mentality of a character performer, even though that's not what I'm doing at the con. Like if a little kid comes up to me and thinks that I'm like the real Rapunzel, which has happened so many times, like I'm in character immediately, just so I don't like break the magic for this poor little 4-year-old, you know what I mean? So yeah.
That's awesome. That's
but
awesome.
Most people who are at conventions realize that like these aren't character performers that you're talking to. We're cosplayers. Like as legit as they may look, they're not the real thing. So
right. And what you mentioned a little bit when we first started, like, how did you said you have like a performance background. Is it theater? And if you did, like, when did you get into theater? Was it a high school thing? Was it before that? And were you always interested in like just putting yourself out there, like as an extrovert, as an actor or whatever?
Yeah, I'm a huge extrovert. Like I think it was you guys that I mentioned, like I'm described as a golden retriever of a human being. Like, please pay attention to me. Please give me pets. Please give me snacks. But yeah, so it's kind of like always been a thing. I was in like the Shakespeare Club in high school, the whole 9 yards. So like it's just kind of like always been a thing. And then the character performance started as just like a me being interested in cosplay. And then I don't know, it's like one feeds into the other, like performance and being a nerd leads into character performance and cosplay, which leads into being a mermaid and selling pictures of yourself at conventions. I don't know. It's weird.
Sainte, I feel like I'm hogging the microphone. So do you have anything you want to jump in with? I have plenty, but.
Oh, no. Yeah, I know. I typically let you take the lead host role. But I guess the question I had, again, with the whole Hawaii thing, because my wife is, she considers Hawaii home. She was a Navy brat, and her dad, she spent most of, her preteen and teen years in Hawaii. But with conventions out there, I'm assuming they have probably a big one like they do in all major cities. But do you travel a lot to like maybe the West Coast? I know Seattle has Emerald Con. I know some of the cons out in LA. Or do you keep it more local in Hawaii and use like the internet, like Instagram and Facebook and stuff to promote your other cosplays? Like, how hard is it to be a cosplayer in Hawaii? I'd assume like maybe you have maybe 1 or 2 major conventions, or am I wrong? Is there plenty of conventions out there to go out to and cosplay at?
So a really good question, like so many levels here. Right. So first thing is it's there aren't that many conventions out in Hawaii as far as I know. Okay, so the big one, like the community is mostly like partially I think because of the proximity to Japan, but also partially just because of like how Hawaii is built in and of itself. Demographically, the biggest one that they have is called Kawaii-Con, like the Japanese word for cute, and it's mostly anime, a little bit of a younger clientele. You have a little bit of pop culture, but most everything goes back into anime and video games and that side of the realm. That one's the biggest one. I don't remember attendance numbers off the top of my head. If you asked me like 2 hours ago, I'd probably remember. But that one's definitely by far the largest. The same convention, like, and this is like a local, from Hawaii, no longer live in Hawaii, but from Hawaii group that owns these conventions. The same group also runs Comic-Con Honolulu, formerly known as HokuCon. And that one is definitely more your like regular convention with like more pop culture and sci-fi and fantasy and stuff like that, a little bit more mature side of things. And then there's also Amazing Comic-Con Hawaii. The Amazing line of shows is actually run by a long time friend of mine, Jimmy J, and he owns a comic book store in Phoenix. But yeah, so he has Amazing Honolulu, Amazing Vegas, Arizona, and Houston. So that's like a bigger chain. Which is also a really, really fun show. I have so many stories about those ones. Yeah, so there's really 4, is that 4? No, that's 3 main ones. And then a handful of smaller ones. There's an anime Matsuri there, which I think they only did one and then they weren't doing it again. Thank God. And yeah, a little bit of smaller ones. So there's like plenty of shows, but also it's kind of hard to figure out like how many do we actually have since like COVID decided to fuck up everything.
Right.
I personally like, and I know that we're going to segue after this one, but I personally have a little bit of a like privileged spot just because I don't have to remain in Hawaii for conventions because my secret identity real job is actually I'm a flight attendant.
Okay.
So that face, Mike, you were like, oh.
That's good. That's cool. That makes sense.
No, and my wife, she has a lot of friends who are when we lived up in Seattle, she had a lot of friends who work for Alaska Airlines. So yeah.
Oh, you get it. What part of Seattle were you guys in?
Oh, we were. I lived at Whidbey Island. I don't know if you know the layout.
Yeah, I was in Ballard for like.
Okay.
About a year.
Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. Actually, yeah. I go to the locks because actually my daytime boring Clark Kent job is a fisherman, but yeah, I'm in Ballard all the time at the locks and all that. Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Small world.
We're going to breweries. I'm coming to visit. We're going to breweries.
Oh yeah, for sure. Forever there at the same time. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Saints in Tampa now. There's a breweries there.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. All right. I mean, we can still do Tampa. Tampa's fine.
Seattle, like
I'm sure I'll get a Tampa layover soon.
The housing market pushed me out, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm buying a cheap home in Florida. So, but
I mean,
neither here nor there. Oh, well, piggybacking off my question, so you ever been to Emerald Con?
Yes. Yeah. I do really, really like Emerald City. I think I actually hit, was it the last one before COVID hit? No. God, I don't even remember. All the years.
Yeah. COVID.
Blending together.
Everyone has that COVID mush brain. Like, was that a year ago? 2 years? It's okay. We all do the same, but yeah.
We have someone in the chat posting the attendance. Just FYI, I said 13,000 attendance for KawaiiCon and 9,000 for Comic-Con HNL. So that's cool.
Perfect. Thank you, chat.
I did want to ask, like, do you have a particular favorite convention? Either whether it's one particular one that you loved a certain year, or is it like one convention that you're like, that's where I want to go? Like every year I go to MegaCon, it's just mainly because it's the closest one, but it's also big and I know it and I know what to expect. I did love New York Comic Con when I went. San Diego, can't say I was a huge fan of. I loved going with Sainte. I loved, getting a picture with Patton Oswalt for him and things like that. But
yes.
But it was insanely huge. And Sainte, I mean, you could speak to it. How long did we wait in that line for Hall H? Like for hours and hours, and
the dreaded Hall H. Yeah, I did it you did it 2 days, so I did it one day. But I mean, that's why you got to go to San Diego at least once. I don't know. Yeah. That's just, the granddaddy of them all. You got to see it. So I enjoyed it as one, but yeah, never again. Yeah, Hall H, no, never.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a bucket list thing. I feel like unless you have a distinct reason to go, you don't just choose like, I think I'll go to San Diego, like just because I like it. Like it's not necessarily that kind of convention. But I mean, like I've always loved San Diego though, just because like that one almost more than anything else feels like a giant family reunion, because like so many people, like so many of my friends from the industry do go. So like, it's not even necessarily the con itself, but it's me and whoever like my wing woman for the convention is. Like we're just like running around like maniacs together, like stopping for pictures, trying to find all of our friends that we haven't seen in over a year. Like it's working booths. Normally when I do San Diego, I'm with Japanime Games, who does like those cute like made deck building card games. So like it's a clusterfuck, honestly, but it's a great clusterfuck. It's a fun clusterfuck. But I don't know if San Diego would necessarily be my favorite though. I think I really, really enjoyed WonderCon. I think KawaiiCon and like honestly all the Hawaii ones are really great, but I think that a big part of that comes to like the people who run it are really, really great. I mean like, and just like the community in Hawaii is like nothing else. Like it's so tight knit and so fun. Let me think. I really, really liked ASEN. I think that was the one in Chicago that I went to. That one was really, really fun.
Nice.
Yeah, because that one I didn't even realize I was gonna be able to go. Like I just got like single day passes with like my best friend who just was happening to be visiting from the time at the time from Nashville, and like so we just like raid my cosplay closet. She and I are the same size, so it's like she wore my Aerith and I wore my Belle Dandy from Oh My Goddess for the first time, and we were just like running around like crazy. And I remember there were at least 2 occasions where like, was that Leah that just ran by? Fucking like goodbye, because it was ridiculous, but. Like, and that was the one where I had no plan, no responsibilities, like total bullshit. Like it was so fun. So I don't know. It's like asking me to pick a favorite child.
Well, no, I know. I knew it was going to be a difficult question. I wanted to see if there was one that stood out to you, but that's not a big deal. I get it. Like same here. Right. I mean, well, listen, I had one, and this doesn't exist anymore, so I guess I could talk. And I'm not talking shit. It's just it was small. It was the first year it ever happened. There was a Treasure Coast Comic-Con. I saw several cosplayers there. That's actually one of the first ones I went to. It was around for 1 or 2 years. What she call herself? Dahlia Thomas. Now she's Danica Rockwood, and Ellie Murray and
Danica,
all them. Yeah, Nerd Bunny. They were all there, so I met them all there. But it was right before they blew up to whatever they blew up to right now. They're huge, but that was really small. I mean, they even had Debo from Friday there, so they had some people there. What's his name? Sainte Tiny Zeus Lister, isn't that his name?
Yeah, I'm about to say Tiny Zeus Lister. Yeah. Zeus.
R.I.P. But yeah, I know. How do you plan ahead for cons? Like, do you like you said, do you just raid your closet? Do you make new stuff? Do you actually make your own costumes, or do you buy? Like, I have a Michael Myers. That's my only, if I even call it a cosplay, that I bring to cons. And I think yeah, it does. I put a little speaker in my pocket and I walk around with the Halloween song playing. I look really creepy and I get people to take my picture. That's fine.
It counts. It totally counts. Oh, really? I mean, most of the time, at least it used to be. Granted, I haven't made anything new in quite a while. But most of the time, I do make my own stuff. But right now, or when it started to be, I had more money and less time, I would start buying base costumes and just modifying the snot out of them, because it probably saves money in the long run. And it's just easier. It's just so much easier. So yeah, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Used to make a lot more. Now it's buy and modify. I can't wear anything straight out of the package, though. It just doesn't work for me. Yeah, I don't really I try to make one new thing, or have one new thing for every show. But it's like re-wearing a normal outfit. Of course you're going to want to re-wear the same stuff. It's not reasonable to only wear something once and then be done with it. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, try to get new stuff.
How do you,
most of the time though.
Do you have a favorite, all-time favorite that you like you said, you try not to go back, but you still fall back into that pattern because you might enjoy wearing it. You might enjoy people's reactions to it. Do you have one that stands out to you?
So Rogue, definitely. Rogue was always my favorite as a kid. Because when you're a kid, you want you want your dolls and your action figures to kind of look like you. All I had when I was real little was Rogue from the X-Men, Aerith from Final Fantasy VII, and Sailor Jupiter. So of course those 3 are in my normal rotation. Those are my girls. Them. And now you can definitely add any iteration of Zelda to that list, which there's a ton of them, and I have way too many of them. And probably Ciri from The Witcher.
Okay. Zelda, Zelda only has that one uniform where he's walking around with the sword and the green outfit, right?
And Disconnect. No, I'm just kidding.
I know you're trying to go for that. Yeah. What you're doing there.
Yes.
I had to make the joke.
You had to. I can't begrudge you that one.
I love, it's cute when people who know nothing about it make the mistake, and I laugh it off, and whatever.
Oh yeah, but you're trolling me, so therefore,
right.
And obviously you're Rogue. Me and you were having a little conversation on Instagram. Saint, I know I always ask this, and I know you always say, oh yeah, I'm about that. Did you watch the X-Men cartoon? You're only a year younger than me. Were you big into it in the 90s when it was on, or?
How dare you? Are you really asking me a question? Did I watch the? Do I need to go pull out the shit? Don't get me wrong. I know I'm the coolest motherfucker you know, but trust me. Yes, X-Men was my like. I practically lived off that song coming on, and you know, who's the first person to tell you that it's coming back? Yes. Produced by Sting, actually performed by not Sting, Slash. Why do I always get those confused? By Slash from Guns N' Roses. If you didn't know. Yes. Yeah. Wow. It was money making intro songs to TV shows back then. Yeah, by Slash, he performed it.
All right. Well, we were talking.
I remember when actual theme songs.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we were talking in the chat before we got her on today, and we were joking about Rogue and Gambit, and I was like, yeah, I think Rogue awakened my sexuality when I was a kid because of how she was on that show, with the touch thing and, her and Gambit. And I always thought Gambit was the coolest. Now, as an adult, I'm like, yeah, he's all right. But I don't know. I still have a soft spot for him with the bow and the Cajun accent and the throwing cards. But me and Leah were having a whole conversation about their chemistry, right, Leah?
Oh God, yeah. Like, do I want to be them? Do I want to be in the middle of them? I don't know. Like, my expectation for romantic partners is far too high now, because if you don't have if you're not Gambit, I don't want
it. That is a high bar. That is a high bar.
I understand it's unrealistic. It explains a lot about my dating history. However, there's the standard.
I always prefer them to the Harley Quinn Joker relationship. I always feel like people never realize. I was like, do you realize the Harley Quinn Joker, that's an abusive relationship? I was like, Rogue Gambit. It's like Rogue Gambit's much more positive about a guy. Hey, I'm willing to stick around even though I can't touch you. That's a way better, relationship to aspire to than the Joker Harley Quinn. I don't know. That relationship always kind of pissed me off when people try to make that as kind of like a romantic thing. I'm like, no.
No, absolutely same. Like every time I see everybody doing a couple costume moves, that I'm like, honey, blink twice if you need help.
Do you have any? Oh shoot! I lost my train of thought. Sainte, go ahead. I lost what the fuck I was going to say, and I had it right there, and then it went away. I hate when that happens.
It's gone.
Too much rogue thinking. Just to switch gears a little bit, I've seen you're also a gamer. Is that something that where am I going? Where's my train of thought? Are you taking just a series of cosplay? I know Twitch and streaming, it's kind of new, but it's getting to the point where people are making a living and making some decent money doing that. Is that something that's more of a hobby, or are you also trying to take that in direction where it's more of a part-time, full-time work kind of deal? And with that, what games do you enjoy streaming?
So for me, it's a little bit more difficult just because with my flight schedule, I can't have a consistent schedule on anything. So it's basically but to rewind a little bit, yeah, I've been streaming actually on Twitch for probably about 3 years now. And it's super fun. I make not the most money, but again, because of my schedule. I love it. It's great. Streaming is so much fun. I'm also right now, at this moment, I'm at my parents' place in Arizona, and the internet is not good enough to stream. So I'm just I miss it. I miss it so much. It took 3 or 4 hours for Warframe to update the other day. And I'm like, I can't play this. I can't. Anyway, so yeah, Warframe's clearly one of them. So been doing that for about 3 years. Super love it. Just can't keep a consistent schedule because of flying. So it's basically if I know my month schedule in advance, then I'll be able to plan streams around that. But otherwise it's catch me on my layovers, guys, which doesn't work as well, but we try. So right now it's Warframe, playing through which Zeldas am I working through right now? My 9th playthrough of Breath of the Wild. Through, I love Zelda so much. I'm not Pokemon,
to interrupt. I'm all the way there, but when it came, like I'm at 600 of the seeds. I'm like, okay, yeah, time to put Zelda down. Like I'm not getting it. I've gotten everything else, like going into 900 what are they called?
Korok seeds.
Korok
They're
seeds.
shit. You do realize that you're picking up poop, right?
It feels like it after, you get past number 400.
No, it's literally Korok shit.
Yeah. So
like, I can't. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it, but I hate myself for doing it. But
you found the cold open too, Mike, but go ahead.
You shit. You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'll mark this. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
My coffee and PayPal links are, but
nine run throughs through Breath of the Wild. Wow.
It's so good. And I never do a completionist run at all. So every time is a little bit different. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I got
this last one I'm Korok-ing, but
okay.
I don't want to. I feel like I have a moral obligation to do it. Like if I've done all the shrines in this run through, I'm like, this could be my 100%er. I don't know if I have it in me, but I'm trying. Pokemon, the new one that just came out, the Diamond and Pearl remakes.
Mm-hmm.
Animal Crossing, because that is the most adulty that I will ever be. Only time I'll ever pay off a home loan.
Nice.
What else am I playing right now? I feel like that's pretty much it. I keep falling back on the same things, especially right now, because I don't want to play anything new, really, because I really want to stream it, and I like being able to stream like my first reactions to things. Like, but at this point, like I'm so behind on everything that it's like, what's the point? Nobody's going to watch that anyway. So whatever.
Got you.
I didn't know they still had AOL, but it's active in Arizona. We can see from Leah's internet connection at her parents' house.
All 12 pixels.
But that's okay. The audio is crisp and clear, and that's what we need. We try to be a humorous podcast, right, Sainte?
Try our best.
Obviously, COVID affected everything with cons and everything like that. And obviously you have your day job. I mean, do you have anything lined up now? I mean, I just went to a con earlier this year for the first time in what feels like forever. In August, I went to MegaCon. So do you have anything lined up, or is that just because everything it's like a slowly turning gear? Everything's coming back to life, but it's such a slow process.
Yeah, it's definitely such a slow process. And it's also like, especially on the business side of things, like cons and like vendors and stuff like that, everybody's going to have to play it pretty safe in the beginning, as far as they can't really make too many big expenses that they aren't going to pay off. So like when it comes to like me being a guest of the show, that's not going to happen for a long time. Like I'm still planning on going to conventions, just like as myself, running around for whatever. But it won't, unless a con reaches out to me or like one of my vendor friends reaches out to me, it's not going to be for anything other than me just kind of like digging around. So I'm kind of just keeping my schedule as flexible as I can. There's a few shows that I really do want to go to. Like I want to hit both coasts. I want to do New York, probably WonderCon, because I'm not getting tickets to San Diego. Something in Florida. Like there's a couple of ones that I want to hit just like so I can have my nice little like tour across the country. But I don't know. We just all have to be like really flexible with each other and play it by ear. So cross your fingers.
Fan Expo, Reed Pop. You hear Leah saying that she's available. Give her get her to the cons, man.
I will get that off. Like I will get it off of work. I swear to you.
I would love to see you come to MegaCon. I'd love to meet you in person. It'd be great to put, do the in-person thing, because that's a different experience when you do meet people in person. The cosplayers I've met, they're always cool and geeky and nerdy. It's very rare that I find that you find someone who got into it because of either the sexual nature of it. There's always not a good intent, not that kind of thing, but it's their passion that drives them, and including you. And so I think that's a pretty great way to explain how people get into cosplay. But on that note, do you have a particular, and I think you're going to say Zelda, but whatever. Do you have a particular property that like you gravitate to more than anything else? Like everything they put out, it could be anything, Star Wars, Zelda, like I said, any property in any medium that it's your jam. That's your thing.
Yeah, probably Zelda. Like definitely, Zelda. I really kind of love Final Fantasy too, but I think that it's just such a huge property. Like, and since the characters change every time and everything, it's a little bit harder to have that connection with every single iteration. And yeah, I really like The Witcher too, though. And I think that's partially because I really like the books too. So I like all of those. But yeah, Zelda.
How do you feel about Henry? Is it Cavill or Cavill? I always get that wrong. Cavill.
Yeah, it's Cavill.
How do you feel about his performance in the Netflix series?
I love him. He's so good. Like, he is so good. Like, he's literally perfect. Like, and it's weird because I'm not like him as Superman. Okay, sure, whatever. He's cool. Like, he's good. Like, I have no complaints. I could not cast it probably any better, so I have no room to complain. But oh my God, him as Geralt. Yeah, no, he's perfect. Like with the voice that he does, like he's like the perfect like video game adaptation, but yet he's read the books. So it's like he knows like the background material. No, he's perfect.
Are you one of the people that gets really excited when you see him building his own computer and everything and he posts it on social media? Is that kind of your jam? That do you go to that?
Is that even a real question, right?
I knew you were going to say yes. I mean, I know. Listen, I know people who like are into like that whole thing and getting their own computers modded and everything. And so it just brought him to, I think, the attention of, I mean, beyond his sexuality that he oozes, even going back to the first show I knew him on the Tudors, people like, he's the handsome guy. That's what he does. So you can see this. Yeah, to see this guy who does the arm pump in Mission Impossible or is Superman or is on The Witcher, and he can build his own fucking computer. It just seems unfair to people like me.
Both the fact that he can get his hands on one of those damn graphics cards and the fact that he has the technical skills to do it. But oh my God, no, he's like, and it's so great too because it's like all of these things I know that people understand, like you have a certain picture in your head of like the kind of person that would be into this sort of thing in their free time. So like, do I look like your stereotypical, other than like having glasses or whatever, do I look like your stereotypical hyper nerd who plays dress up and like paints minis and plays video games and all of this shit? Not necessarily. And neither does he. So no, yes. He gives hope to mankind.
I think we made you kind of lose your thought process when Henry Cavill gets in your head.
Hold that. Specifically as Geralt. Oh my God, if you built a computer as Geralt. Oh shit, hang on.
There you go.
I'm fine. This is fine. What were we talking about?
Well, I mean, we're going to be wrapping it up soon, but I do want to get your opinion on something. So, and we kind of touched on it right there. You never know what someone's going to be into. And I love the con environment. I love the community because people don't really judge each other. You may have a critique of something here or there, but it's a positive usually. It's not usually a negative. And so if you had advice for people, whether it's just kids trying to put themselves out there or, people trying to get into the cosplay world, obviously you got to start with costumes, whether or not you're buying them, which there's nothing wrong with, and then adapting them like you do or making your own. Do you have any advice for people who want to start doing something like that and getting out to more cons rather than just as a attendee kind of thing?
I honestly, it really is so dependent on your why. So it's like kind of remember your why. Like, are you into this? And none of this is a judgment call by any means. Like, are you into this because like you like the idea of like the influencer side of things and you want to be like more like that? Then you're going to have to, my advice would be more on like the social media side, like playing with the algorithm, like doing it from that way. But I mean, honestly, if you're just into it because you want to be a part of the community still, like that enthusiasm is what's going to get you everywhere. Like being really passionate about like these communities and these fandoms and like all of our source material, like you can fudge your way around a lot of stuff as far as making your costumes or not, or like filters and makeup can do so much for you and like all this other stuff. Like there's so many ways to get around like other, I don't want to call it a shortcoming, but we'll call it a shortcoming. Why not? But like your passion and enthusiasm is something that you can't really fake. Like if you're having a bad time, then don't do it. Right. But the other thing too is to also be really careful that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself. I strongly disagree with the phrase, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Strongly disagree with that, because you can put so much pressure on yourself that what you like, something that started as something that you loved just becomes another stressor on you. And if you love this stuff, then make sure that you continue to love it. Like, don't make one of the things that brings you the most joy in life just stress you out more, because that totally defeats the purpose. So, like, know your own limits, take a step back when you need to. Like, your mental health is way more important than getting to a convention to make $50 off of selling 8x10s of your butt. Like, let's be honest here. So,
I think that's great advice. Yeah, like that. If you love what you do. I mean, you'll still have good days and bad days, but if you enjoy what you do, you know, the good days will be better and the bad days won't be as bad, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's great advice.
I'm glad you like it.
All right. So Comic-Con International Repop Fan Expo, get out and give this lady a call. Get her to some of the cons. I want to see her at MegaCon Fan Expo. Get her ass over there.
Oh, MegaCon would be so much fun. Shit, if somebody could just get me a ticket, I will use my bennies and non-rev over there and it will be phenomenal. And somebody buy me some overpriced French fries, please.
I got your overpriced French fries if you get over there, I promise.
For sure.
Thanks,
yeah, overpriced French fries on us if you make it over to Florida, no doubt.
Yay!
All right, so let's see. We want to make sure I put it out at the beginning, but I want to make sure people follow you on Instagram and Twitter. Leah Rose FTW. I assume that's for the win.
Yeah. It is for the win. It is not fuck the world. Not today. It's not. I'm also on Twitch at the same. Literally, just Google Leah Rose FTW. That's me everywhere, especially Twitch right now. Minus the fact that I'm at my parents and not actively streaming at this moment, but that's fine. That's totally fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, that's me.
Well, Leah, I want to thank you for coming on the show. You've been a great guest and
Thanks.
Someone to talk to. I like said at the beginning with all our conversations, we like it to just ebb and flow. And, you know, with that one, you know, saying, what was that, 15 minutes? So that's because it was that thing we didn't really know much about, and you know it wasn't as funny as we wanted it to be, but that's okay.
That's fine.
But Leah Rose, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This is a blast.
Anytime you have anything you want to come on again, let me know. We do a show every week, and we're trying to keep a rule about not having people on more than once a year. But hey, if people have something to promote, I don't care. Come on. We like having a conversation, even if it's for a few minutes. So
That's true. Hey, if anybody has any burning questions about like flight attendant stuff, because everybody always has a million questions about that, I got you. We'll have the Leah Rose, not the cosplayer, Leah Rose, the flight attendant show. There we go.
I mean, that's its whole own thing. I mean, I do have a ton of questions about being a flight attendant.
Case in point. See you guys in a couple weeks.
Sure. I got questions too. I'm like, now that you mention it, we could, you know.
I wasn't lying.
All right. Well, Leah Rose, thanks for coming on. We'll be right back with the usual Saints, with me and Sainte. And thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.
This is Michaela Lee, and you are listening to The Usual Saints.
All right. Welcome back to Usual Saints. Hopefully you were listening to that live, or you're listening to that before you hear our dumb voices again. But that was a great interview with Leah Rose. I'm very glad that Leaping Liz put it out there to her other friends about the interview on the show. So that was great. I mean, Sainte, what are your thoughts on her?
Nah, man, it was a good interview. Like I said, I mean, made a lot more sense when she said she was at her parents' house in Arizona. That's why at sometimes she was speaking and like I could hear her the whole time, but then sometimes, you know, her screen would be frozen and, you know, it's a little, so I had to just make sure I was really listening, you know, to, you know, audibly through the headphones, you know, because I was just staring at her and her face wouldn't move. So it was kind of like a little jarring, but no, it was a good interview. She was, and she said she'd be open to getting with us to talk about, you know, flight attendant stuff in the future. So that's pretty cool. No, seemed good, chill interview.
Yeah, that was awesome. You were talking before we started recording about something you thought we should mention.
I don't know. I just had an epiphany and I was like, why didn't we have, you know, everyone check out the usual Sainte screen reviews. We have our Hawkeyes, and as soon as I'm going to try to get it done tonight, get our Lost Loki episodes up. That's what I'm calling the Lost episodes. But I was like, man, why didn't I just call it? Why didn't we refer to it? Because I was actually using it as a screen name. And I was like, where did I get that screen name from years ago? Long story short. Anyway, I was like, the Boondock Suspects. Shouldn't have that been the name of our movie review podcast?
I mean, you're talking about just flipping the names and making it the other thing. I mean, I get it. It makes sense. But at the same time, I do love what you came up with, the USSR. I know you took away the Russian theme and switched the logo, and that's fine. It looks cool still. But I like well,
that, the Russian theme's still there because I'm still using that as our intro, but I'm just trying to make it, I want someone to look at the podcast image and know that there's something to do with film, TV. I don't want people to look at it and be like, oh, are they going to be talking about the old Soviet Union or are we going to be talking about Eastern European politics? That's just my fear. It's like, I want somebody who has nothing, like they're going to see it and I want them to think, oh, this has something to do with movies or TV or whatever. And that's what I'm getting at. I still think it's a good name, but then I'm like, it might confuse people. It wouldn't confuse someone like, I'd say us, and maybe that's a little pretentious to say, but I was like, if the layman person just came across that, would they be confused? Like, oh, this is a movie podcast? You know, it's that kind of thing.
But it clearly spells out screen reviews. And so right. if anyone put any thought into it, I think they would get what it is. And obviously if they listen to it, you know, they're going to know what it is. Boondock Suspects, as clever as I think that is, I feel like that people may be confused if they don't know the films. I mean, even our little thing, you know, that we put together haphazardly 14 years ago at this point, you know, we just, you know, I think, I don't remember if it was me or you or both of us, you know, we just came up with it because it was two of our favorite movies at the time. And so it just sounded good though, too. Plus your name's Saint. So, you know, it's just a kind of a natural thing, but it just sounded good at the time. The Usual Saints, it kind of flows off the tongue. The Boondock Suspects, it doesn't flow as easily for me. I don't know.
No, but I mean, anyone that watched I was just thinking, I was like, anyone that's really into movies and movie podcasts, they seen something that says the Boondock Suspects, they would know automatically. Does this have something to do? You know, I was just, or the USSR. I guess maybe I'm just getting a little too into my head with it, but I was just like, you know, I was just doing a lot of research about podcasting, see which were the number one podcasts about different categories and what the general advice is, how to grow podcasts and all that kind of stuff. And I was thinking about the names. I was like, well, what's a way to get people to really get into those? But anyway, we could talk about it later.
Were we number one?
Yeah. I think we were number one in the Eastern European movie MCU category of we're number one in that.
Oh, that's great. No, I mean, I got nothing else. I just really enjoyed the interview. I mean, we have topics, but nothing pressing, and we'll talk about it next time because we got a new show next week. Hey, we might even have a new cast member, group member. My buddy from Kickball, as long as he you know, and I just haphazardly messaged him. I was like, hey man, you'd be interested in being on the because I've been posting. He's on my Facebook. I've been posting asking if people would be interested. And he never responded, so I just decided to do a little direct messaging. And hey, man, it seemed to work out. He's a funny guy. He'll definitely bring a different, unique aspect to it. You
never know. The algorithm may have fucked those fucking algorithms. You never know what they see now. Like you miss a lot of shit that's on Facebook and stuff if you're not on there 24/7. So.
Right. And, you know, we might even, I'm all about getting more guest hosts on. Even that guy from, we didn't talk about this on the podcast. We had a British guy who does his own podcast. He DM'd me, or no, he didn't DM me. He tweeted at me. He replied to me on Twitter saying he'd be willing to be the fourth member. And we were going to interview him and, just give him a quick shot, but he never DM'd me. So, hey, guy, if you're listening, the fourth slot might be filled, but we're always good for guest hosts because look, Jeremy couldn't even be bothered to show up today. So,
well, I mean, at the very least, we could do a 1-for-1. I actually gave his podcast a listen. Not too bad. It's just a basic movie and basically what he's watching at the time. I know he tends to lean a little bit more into the Doctor Who side of it. So. But if he's willing to do a 1-for-1 with us, that'd be content too. So
yeah, I'm always down for that. I've reached out to a few different people about that. What was the name of his podcast? The Doctor Who something or other. Let me look. This is bad podcasting. I don't see it. but yeah. All right. So we're gonna wrap it up because Saint's got to go attend his birthday party. Happy birthday, Saint! Happy 40th, man.
Appreciate it.
Wish I could be there with you. Maybe in a few weeks if I get over to Clearwater. I'm still waiting for the definitive answer to see if I'm gonna be coming over there or not. So
yeah, maybe we'll do live in studio. The usual Saints or whatever, figure something out.
That'd be pretty fun. All right. So as usual, thanks for listening. Follow us on social media at The Usual Saints. The phone number is 240-724-6877. The website's theusualsaints.com. I'm going to make sure the interview gets put up on the front page and everywhere you want to catch us streaming or download a podcast is on there. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I've never said that before, but apparently that really helps with getting the podcast in front of other people. So I've been thinking like if we can maybe do a prize thing. I don't really know what I would do, but I mean, I'm not trying to pay people to give us ratings, but if you like our show and you give us 5 stars and you leave us a review, we'll read the reviews too on the air. I don't give a shit. Actually, next week, let's read the ones we already have. We have a few.
Right. Next week, let's get on there. And I wanted to say that let's start promoting a bit where we'll just do a recap and we'll just read the reviews like something like we'll read 5-star or 1-star. How about that? Either way, at the opposite ends, we'll leave a 5-star. But if you hate us, leave a 1-star. We'll take that too. Whatever. But
well, this is what Jim Jeffries does on the I Don't Know About That podcast. You can leave a 5-star rating and you can say whatever the fuck you want. You could dog them all you want and they read it because it's a 5-star review. So literally, if you do that for us, if you leave a 5-star review, you can say we're absolute shit. I'll read it. I don't care. I'm okay with that. I'm into the self-degradating humor sometimes. All right, but thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week with maybe a new member, maybe Jeremy, and maybe an interview if I can find another one that we can fit into the schedule. So, and this one's coming out this week, so I don't have to say Merry Christmas yet. That'll be next week. And also Spider-Man, we're going to talk about it. I know we're going to have a separate podcast on the USSR about it. But Spider-Man comes out next week. Get your tickets. Go see it because we're going to spoil it. So thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to The Usual Saints. For me and Saint, I'm Mike D. And thanks for listening.